All right, so the next question here is from Krister Alex. So I have a question. How do the Shapton Pro compare to Shapton Glass? All right. I primarily use Shapton Glass for all my sharpening, but have been thinking of adding some Pro stones as well. But I do not want the feel to throw me off. Okay, so Krister, so the two main differences between the Pro stones and the Glass stones is feel, feedback, or feel and feedback is one, and then you have speed, or I would say speed of wear. The speed of wear on the Glass stones is much slower than the Pro stones. And then the feedback on the Pro stones aren't quite as good as the Glass stones. Those really it. They both perform relatively the same when you are comparing actual results of the knives. As long as they're under, let's say, 62 Rockwell. I find that the Pro stones don't do as well for knives over 62 Rockwell compared to the Glass stones. Most of the Glass stones I've sharpened knives up to a 65 Rockwell, and they have all done fine. The one stone that I really like on the Pro stone over the Glass stone is the 120. I find that the Pro 120 is much better as a coarse stone than the Glass 120. Other than that though, every other stone from over 120, I find that the Glass stone is far superior. So that's really it. If you want to pick up a couple of the Pro stones, kind of supplement what you have, there's nothing wrong with that. They cost 30-40% less than the Glass stones. But in terms of polishing, that won't be a problem because most of your polishing, you're not going to be grinding the stone away. So if you are looking for polishing Pro stones, I think that's actually a pretty good option. But I wouldn't pick up any Pro stones under the 1000 grit to replace the Shapton Glass side, unless you're looking at the Pro 120. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question. So the next question is from Guy Naba, and the question here is, if you need to pick only 3 stones and the grit for each one of them, what should I buy? Are they have to be from the same kind? Okay, what I mean. Okay, so what I mean is. What I mean is, can I start with Chaucera 800 gritstone, move to Chaucera 3000, and then finish with other 5000 plus grit manufacturer stone? Thank you, Guy. Okay, sorry I butchered your question, Guy, but I believe, was it Guy or is it Guy? So to answer the latter part of your question, you can mix any manufacturer you want. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So for me, the Atomo 140 is what I would choose for a lower gritstone. You can choose a 320. But to me, the 140 really does the same job faster than a 320 grit stone. And you don't really need to go from a 120 to a 320 to a 1000. So for me, if I want to pick something under if I'm limited to just 3 stones, for me, the Atomo 140 would be what I pick for a lower grit stone. And then for a sharpening stone, it's either between the Chaucera 800 or the Cerex 1000. So depending on where you live and what prices you can get them at, it's between one of those stones. And then for a polishing stone, for me, the Rika 5000 has always been one of my top picks. Very nice finish, very snappy feeling. It's a soaking 5000, which is also pretty rare for a 5000 grit stone. Or the Chaucera 3000, which is a really nice splash and go polishing stone. It doesn't give you quite the same finish as a mirror polish of, let's say, a 6000 grit stone, but it's very close for a semi-mirror polish. And it's also very snappy as well. So those are my top picks. All right, so this next question here is from Darren Oswald, and maybe you can help me with a question I have. I can get my knife sharp enough to shave hair, but after sitting for a few days, it no longer has a sharp edge, and I can't find out why. So Darren, one or two of these issues may be your problem, or maybe a combination of both. So your angle is probably too shallow. So you may be sharpening your knife at, let's say, 8 to 10 degrees, and your knife is razor sharp, but your knife is not able to hold or maintain the angle, which leads to the second problem, is your steel. If your steel is too soft, say your knife is heat treated from a 55 to a 57, there's no way that it can hold that edge at that heat treatment level. So if you have a Japanese knife, which let's say a heat treatment of 62 and above, then sharpening at 8 to 10 degrees or 12 degrees is perfectly normal and very acceptable. But if your knife is heat treated under, I don't know, let's say a 59, and then it makes no sense for you to sharpen at such a shallow angle. So again, I don't know what you're using. My assumption is your knife is probably very soft. So you're probably using a Western knife with a heat treatment of 55 to a 57. Therefore, your knife cannot really hold an edge that's being sharpened at 8 to 12 degrees. What you can try to do is sharpen your knife at more closer to a 15 to 18 degree angle, and then maybe strop your knife every 3 to 4 days. I think that works pretty well for most people. So you certainly can maintain a very sharp edge without having to go onto the whetstone simply by stropping on some newspaper or a leather strap. Spam, is that a real name, Spam? I hope I'm not making fun of you. So interesting bit of information. Question, the buffalo strap, did you use the smooth side? Was it treated with the buffing compound? What kind? Okay, so I'm not exactly sure what this is referring to, which video. I should have probably copied that video. For my buffalo straps, so I use for my personal knives my roll buffalo strap, and I don't load my personal strap. I do load straps when I'm testing different compounds, but in terms of actual finished quality, the naked roll buffalo strap works just fine. The only time I actually load compound for a specific grit level is for testing, and that's really it. So I use the Harold's Red, Harold's Green, and then the Nortons and the DMTs. They all work fine. So depending on what type of leather you buy, so if you buy a leather that is very, let's say unpressed or unfinished, the suede side can be very thick and can be extremely absorbent. So I've seen or I've heard people use their entire, so this here is a, well, how many ounces is this thing? This is probably like 1 ounce or this is probably like 1 ounce, or I don't even ounce. This is probably a couple ounces of Harold's Green. And I've heard some of my subscribers, they've used the entire tube loading up their strap because they use it on the suede side. So that's a danger when you are loading the suede side or the non-smooth side, is that the leather can absorb pretty much all of the compound, which is very expensive when you consider that one of these costs $10. I've loaded, I think, 2 dozen straps at this point with this one little tube. So if you are loading the smooth side, your strap compound can go a lot further than if you were to load the suede side or the rough side. I don't think there's a negative loading the rough side, other than the fact that your leather will just absorb a lot of that compound, and one single tube may be used up for in a single strap, and that would be just such a waste. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question. Okay, so the next question we have here is from Vincent Vincent. All right, so question, do you ever scratch your knives while sharpening? Sometimes I use a too steep angle and I scratch the side of the knives and I feel awful, especially on a pretty new knife. In the beginning, yes, I have sacrificed a number of knives in the beginning when I was learning how to sharpen, or I was teaching myself how to sharpen with different techniques and just playing around. Yeah, I will ruin a knife every now and then. Recently though, no, not because I'm a super expert when it comes to sharpening knives, but because I'm very steady and I know the limits of what I can do. So as long as you work within your limits and you are just, kind of improving your sharpening technique every single time you sharpen, you will minimize scratching the side of your knife. Part of sharpening is also your mentality of sharpening. If you are always kind of worried that you're going to cut yourself, or you're always worried that you will do something wrong, that worry will translate into your sharpening. When you walk into a sharpening session, be calm, be confident, and just know that you will make mistakes and that you are learning every single time you're sharpening a knife. That's how I approach sharpening. I'm not afraid of sharpening a new knife. I'm not afraid of scratching a new knife. That actually also helps me stay calm as well. Because it's a knife. I mean, knives get scratched, knives get used, they get dinged up once in a while. As long as the scratches aren't very obvious or they're not very unnatural looking, I'm really not worried about it. And just enjoy the sharpening process. You are going to mess up, accept it. There's nothing wrong with that. We all mess up. We all scratch knives once in a while. It's just a learning process. So yeah. All right, so the next question we have here is from Nicholas Anderson. And weird place to ask this question, but here goes. Is the Masamoto VG10 as thin as regular Japanese knives, or is it a Western thickness? All right, so here's the Masamoto. All right, so spine thickness right at the heel, so directly above the heel, 1.65 is the lowest I got. Very thin, very narrow, and just an overall very good cutting profile. When I first bought this knife, I believe it was priced at $124. Now I'm thinking it's selling at $189 or $195 or something like that. So a little bit expensive for what you're getting. Overall, you can certainly get many knives that will outperform this knife. But overall, still a very good knife. Definitely a knife that I will keep around for a while. But yeah, still a great knife. All right, so this one here is a Vusov Classic, and this knife here is at 3.14. So we have 3.14 for the Vusov Classic. Now the zwilling is actually a bit more deceptive because it has this weird plunge line that actually extends way in front of the heel. But we're at 3.47 for the zwilling. This is a Shapton Pro, and you know, nice knife. But yeah, you can see right there that the zwilling and the Vusov are both over 3 millimeters when it comes to overall thickness. And that's just how they're made. People rarely complain about the spine thickness of these knives because people who buy them aren't looking for the thinnest knives. They're looking for beefy, hefty work knives, and these work just fine for that purpose. So you can see right there that the spine thickness on the German knives, at least in this case, comparing the German knives to the Masamoto VG, is actually about twice as thick. Yeah, so I think that's it for today's video. Thank you guys for being here. If you guys have any questions or if you want some questions answered in my videos, leave a comment with the word question and I will be glad to answer them when I can.